Happy 26th day. Hard to believe. Today I'm going to make something else. My hair's as usual. I am going to make something interesting. It piqued my interest. Going to make hummus in a jar. So you put all the ingredients, almost all, because we use olive oil in our hummus, but almost all the ingredients in a jar, can it up, and then you just pour it in the food processor and process it at the end of things. I think that's super intriguing. This is another vegan meal, which, you know, I have no problem making them. I got the idea from Thrifty, Chic, Housewife. I will link her video in the description below. So here's the rundown. We have 1.5 pounds of chickpeas. I soaked them overnight, and then the directions say to bring them to a full boil, drain the water, bring them back up to a full boil, so that's what I did. I'm not concerned about texture here because hummus is ground up, so no big deal. I have 18 garlic cloves. I skinned all those bad boys. Toasted sesame seeds that I got from one of our Asian markets. I have fresh lemon juice. I squeezed a whole bunch of fresh lemon juice. The recipe does not call for salt, but I am going to add some salt to this. And that's it. So, and Magnus it's bedtime, because once again I'm canning at night. I have a terrible habit of doing that, but that's when it works for me. So anyway, that's a rundown. It's very simple. I'll go through the proportions with you here as we get going. I'm just looking because I write down. I normally have the recipes on my phone, so then I have to write it down so I can look at it. So I'm going to get the camera set up and we'll get rolling with this. Okay, so here we go. The recipe uses pint jars. I'm going to go ahead and use quarts and 1.5 pints. My jars were warm. They're cooling down, so I definitely need to get this done. So for a pint, it would be 3 garlic cloves, but since I'm doing a quart, we'll do 6, 4, 5, 6, and 1 small one for good measure. For a pint, you would use 1/4 cup of toasted sesame seeds. Okay, we'll try that again. My videoing setup is just not that great. All right, so we've got our 6 garlic cloves plus 1 for good measure. I'm kind of a superstitious person. I do 7. Okay, there's 1/4 cup and 1/2 cup of toasted sesame seeds. Hopefully you won't jar around too much. Jar, no pun intended. Okay, and then we're going to do 1 teaspoon of salt. The recipe said 1/4 cup of lemon juice to a pint jar. Listening to Carol's recommendation, she uses 2 tablespoons instead of 1/4 cup. I think I'm going to follow along with that because it seems like a lot of lemon juice. I can always add lemon juice later, but I cannot take it away. So for this quart jar, I'm going to do 1/4 cup of lemon juice. And then we're going to add our beautiful, move my jars out of the way here. And our beautiful little par-cooked chickpeas here. You know me, I dig cold recipes, but when the recipe calls for warm, that's what we do. So I'm just going to pop these in here. I'm super intrigued by this because you might be thinking, well, how is hummus a meal starter? In our family, it is, because we like to do pita and hummus and vegetables and maybe sometimes meats and cheeses. So this is actually very much a meal for our family. All right, and then you just, because the bean liquid has been drained out a couple of times, it's pretty clean. So I'm just going to go ahead and add the liquid in. Pardon me. Goodness gracious. And you know, we always like to debubble. And what's cool about this is, like, when you're doing hummus, you need to use tahini. But instead, we have the sesame seeds built right in, which I think is super cool. The directions say to drain off the water from the beans when you're ready to make hummus in a fine mesh sieve so you don't lose your seeds, and then add it in as needed. So that's probably what we're going to do. And I'm going to step away because I need to get a wipey for my jars. I'm just going to put water on this real quick here. La la la. All right. Oh man, it smells really good already. I can smell the toasted sesame. That's a very nice smell. Hummus is such a versatile thing. I love putting it on a hamburger instead of mayonnaise. There's so much that you can do with hummus. It's awesome with veggies. It's awesome off of a spoon. Not that I would ever do that. Okay, there we go. So look at that. That is just beautiful. I am going to put these in the canner for 90 minutes at 10 pounds PSI for my altitude, and I will show you what these look like when we come back. Better late than never. It's almost midnight. These are finally coming out. Look at that. I'm really excited to try this. Hummus in a jar. These lids, these pure lids, I used to have a really good time with them, but they've been giving me some trouble lately. So maybe I'll look out and one of them will fail, and then I can try it tomorrow. All right, but that is super exciting. I can't wait to see how these turn out. I have a pan drying over here. Let's scoot it out of the way. Yeah, there you go. Hummus starter in a jar. See you guys tomorrow.